All right, we're back. Episode 13 of the Feel for the Game podcast. We are locked and loaded. This is going to be a long podcast. We have so much to go over. A ton happened last week. College football is just come up with more and more surprises for us. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into week 7 recap because we've just got so much to cover. Landon, I'm going to go ahead and start with the USF North Texas game. This game was pretty crazy. I think it was 63 to 36. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Maker finally started to throw some
the
interceptions in
lights
this
were
game.
too bright.
Yeah, unfortunately for our star-studded quarterback Drew Maker, the lights were too bright at home against Byron Brown and the USF Bulls. They lost this game by several touchdowns, and as much as I was hoping for this to be close, and I did have USF winning, North Texas just couldn't keep up. It was pretty evident from after the first quarter that a couple key turnovers in, they just weren't going to be able to keep up with USF.
Well, they didn't take advantage of a lot of the USF turnovers, and then that whole 5 minute period right before halftime, and then after just they were lost 28 to nothing through that time period or whatever.
Yeah, it just seemed like they couldn't tackle Byron Brown when it mattered. Like the dude was just running over everybody. And I said this at the beginning of the season about two other guys, which I won't name because it would make me look really bad. So if you want to find out, go watch our preseason podcast episodes about quarterbacks in SEC. But I was talking about Cam Newton in reference to some other players. I think Byron Brown runs like Cam Newton, and it's not really close. Nobody else in college football runs the way that Byron Brown runs. It's fun to watch him. Anyway, they took over this game. Maker had 3 interceptions. He still played well despite the fact that he threw 3 interceptions in this game. It was a lot of fun. I ended up making a little bit of extra cash on this game. I had USF plus the points. So really interesting game. USF shaping up for a good one against Memphis here and is that next week?
Yes,
Definitely taking a look at
huge
that
one.
one. Definitely taking a look at that one. AAC conference title implications and playoff implications. So moving on, Ohio State at Illinois. I think the biggest takeaway for me was Ohio State's defense, clamping up Illinois once again. I think we both saw that coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think my score prediction was like 31 to 13, and what it was 34 to 16. So
You were pretty much on that. I mean, I was pretty close too. I think I had Ohio State getting into the 40s, but I think we both saw Illinois' offense underperforming and Ohio State just doing what they've been doing. Their defense is measuring up to the Georgia defenses of the early 2000s, which is a bold comparison. They look great. I've kept them at number one, but Miami and Indiana are right there behind them for me. So I think Illinois is still decent, but their offense is just not explosive enough.
yeah, I agree. But I do think Ohio State's going to make 95% of teams on their schedule look like that.
I
Just
have no doubt.
their defense is far and away the best in the nation right now.
They look great. Them and Oklahoma. If Oklahoma had the offensive system that Ohio State had and an offensive line, they would be probably in that category as well. Moving on, this was the biggest game to me of the entire week. This is shaping the college football landscape going into October and November, which is where all the money's made. Indiana at Oregon. Mendoza and Signetti, like this combo, I don't think even I expected it to be this lethal. I love Kurt Signetti, and I even slept on him to start the season. I had Mendoza as one of my favorite quarterbacks in the Big Ten to start the season, even though he hadn't played a snap at Indiana. I just loved what I saw from him at Cal, and he's exceeded those expectations. So they go in to Eugene and beat Oregon pretty convincingly, even though it wasn't a blowout. 10 points kind of is a lie in how competitive this game was. It came down to the wire. Dante Moore had a couple of key turnovers, and pressure was all over Oregon this whole game. It just looked like Indiana was the more dominant team in the trenches.
Something to note too is that Indiana threw a pick six and still won this game by 10 points.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty telling, just to the fact that Oregon's offensive line and defensive line just I thought were going to be better in this game. I mean, I knew Indiana's defense was going to be good, but they've proved to me every week that they're every ounce of as good as they were last year in all facets to the game. And to be honest with you, at wide receiver and quarterback, I thought Oregon was still going to be better. I thought that Oregon holistically was just a little bit better than Indiana in so many different areas, but Elijah Surratt was uncoverable the whole game.
He's so good.
3 or 4 pass interferences drawn, and he still had over 100 yards and like 8 catches. He was a stud. Omar Cooper played out of his mind, and he didn't even really have a massive game. He was just getting open and making plays when it mattered. I mean, those two guys ate the whole game. They were just the only two receivers that they were giving the ball to. it was really interesting to watch. I thought that Oregon had better wide receivers as far as down the line depth was concerned. I felt like they could just keep going down the line and have great receivers get open in this game. Indiana's defense was the story, though. They were really, really good. That I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I know everybody's got them in the top three right now, so this isn't crazy that I have them at three. But any of the teams above them falter, I don't have a problem putting them at one or two. They look really good.
I have them at number 2 right now.
Their schedule's really favorable, but there's a scenario where they're 11-1 or 12-0 going into the Big 12
It's
championship.
their toughest remaining game.
I know they've got one more ranked game for
They
sure.
go at Penn State, which is nothing. No.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that game. It may end up being a blowout, and Indiana could just roll them because they got nothing left in the tank by then. But you just never know.
They got Michigan State at home. They host UCLA. Road trip to Maryland. Penn State on the road. Wisconsin at home. Purdue on the road.
I think UCLA and Penn State are the hardest games left on the schedule. So no ranked games.
Nope.
Oh yeah, Ohio State and Indiana have no ranked games left on their schedules. I saw that on ESPN.
Yeah, the Big Ten is better than the SEC. All right.
Yeah. Oh, you
That
know what?
argument has been just so stupid throughout the year.
It's so many talking about
that.
talking about UCLA and Northwestern the other day, like bye weeks, because that's what it looked like. There was no competitive edge in either of those teams. UCLA is now 2-0 since I said that, and they beat Penn State and they blew out Michigan State at Michigan State, and then they proceeded to have two of the best offensive outings that I've seen in a while with a very minimal roster. And then Northwestern's 4-2. Sure, they got beat pretty bad by Tulane, decent football team. And then what was their other loss?
Oregon by 20.
Yeah, I mean Oregon's obviously a good football team. They beat UCLA too. So Northwestern obviously not great, but I mean they're proving to be a competitive football team to some degree, beating Penn State. I know everybody thinks Penn State's just dead in the water right now, but they're still a team with a pulse that can play football and has talent. So still a good win. Anyway, I think that honestly, I'd feel better about making that argument if I had to play devil's advocate now than I did 2 weeks ago. It's still not a great argument because Arkansas is one of the worst teams statistically or schedule wise and record wise in the SEC right now, and they almost beat Tennessee and Ole Miss. Probably should have beaten Memphis. I mean, their only really bad loss was Notre Dame, and that's a great football team. Arkansas is one of the best offenses in the country statistically right now, and they're 2-4, I think.
I think so.
2-4, 2-5. I think it's 2-4. So bottom of the SEC is crazy. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I think the next game I had was Wazoo at Ole Miss. So obviously I don't like this game. This game was tough to watch. I was taking a golf lesson during this game, unfortunately, so I had it pull up on my phone kind of periodically, but I was trying to stay locked into my lesson that I was paying for. Wanted to get everything I could out of it. And every time I check the score, I'm like, surely Ole Miss is going to break away. I even told my dad at halftime, I was like, yeah, I think this is probably one of those games where we'll look back. It's not great, but we probably win by 14, 17 points, something like that. It never happened. Wazoo even came out the half and scored and took the lead back. And then I was like, okay, we're in trouble. We got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. They go right back down the field and score another touchdown. And then we get the ball back. Typically, Ole Miss has done a good job finishing games with the ball this year. We punted back to them with a whole minute left. They had no timeouts, but they had to go the full length of the field. We got a sack, and clock ran out. They tried a lateral play. It just didn't work. They had a chance to win. And that sucks because we've got Georgia and Oklahoma on deck, or both road games for us. That doesn't feel great, but probably need a little extra motivation to humble ourselves before the road stretch. I'm not going to take too much away from this because we won the football game, despite the fact that we played very sloppy. I think this was Ole Miss's worst performance of the season for sure. It might be the worst one we see unless they get blown out this year. Close SEC loss wouldn't even feel as bad as that did.
I think it just set up really weird on the schedule. Like you play a huge game against LSU and then have a bye week and then play a team that went and got beat by North Texas by 50. Like that's just weird.
And this was their Super Bowl this season.
Oh yeah.
Playing the number 4 team at the number 4 team's house and knowing that you've got a sleeper at quarterback and you've got a really good game plan. Like, I don't know if anybody is giving any credit to Washington State for the game plan and not just, oh, they called Ole Miss sleeping. The cover zero that they were running on us, these blitz patterns, we genuinely did not know what to do. They were running stunts and loops on us with this cover zero, and Trinidad just wasn't finding anybody. I mean, we literally had 3 points going in late into the second quarter. We, to be fair, we're getting in their territory almost every drive. We
Yeah,
came
I
away with
saw
0 points in the red zone through like 5 drives. I think we finally got a field goal in the second quarter. It was bad. It was bad. We should have scored a lot of touchdowns in this game. We had a ton of yards. Trinidad didn't really play that bad. But this cover zero, we just really struggled with it. And we started having some answers for it. Had a couple big plays. Caden Lee had a crazy play. And Trinidad, when coverage broke down, was able to take a run to the house. But other than that, I mean, we didn't have any big touchdowns. It was just kind of steadily getting down into the red zone and stalling out. So, I mean, great game plan from Washington State. They ran the ball and chewed the clock and ran a lot of screens as extension of the run just to make sure that we didn't get them in the backfield. I love their game plan. Um, Zevi Eckhouse for Washington State played a really good game at quarterback. He was impressive. Curry Voorhees, running back, played really well. He had that 46-yard touchdown. They played their best game. That was their A-plus game, and that was Ole Miss's F game, and they won. So just moving on from that game is going to be tough for Ole Miss. But when we go to Georgia, I know that we'll be ready for that game. So let's go ahead and move on though.
Hold on,
Okay.
I actually have one more thing to say about that. I have a funny comparison. So, I have a UTEP dynasty in college football 26,
Oh, I love this.
and last week I had a game against a top 22 lane team on the road, so big game. I'll go win that one. Next week I play UMass at home. UMass like sucks. Obviously, I'm like 20 overall is better. Worst team on my schedule. I'm down 17-6 at halftime. I end up coming back. I have to score a game-winning touchdown to beat UMass at home.
Yeah,
So
that's
like, if you come into a game just being like, man, they suck, like whatever, like anybody can like get you like that,
especially with the transfer portal.
especially in real life.
Yeah, and
Like,
Washington State, like I said, it was their Super Bowl. They have nothing to lose. Wounded animal mode kind of thing. Like they absolutely back against the wall. We got a huge target on our back. And they come in there with a new quarterback and a great system and a good game plan. I mean, nothing to lose mentality. That you can bring the best out of your team with that. So caught us sleeping, ended up barely getting the win. But yeah, that's a great comparison because I know that the game has an algorithm for that. Like they just know that like when even though you obviously should win statistically, there's got to be something up to
I
chance.
just knew I wasn't
You
locked
know,
in and took advantage of that.
that's always how it is in dynasty mode. For anybody who plays, there's always that weird game on your schedule where you've been dominating. You'll beat the number one team in the country by 3 touchdowns, and then you'll play freaking Liberty, and somehow you'll let them like either win or it'll be close. It's just how it is. The game knows. That's how college football is now. Parodies everywhere. Continuing to move on because we've got so many more games to cover. Oklahoma versus Texas. There was no offense in this game. Despite what the final score says, this game was really close in my eyes. If John Mateer's healthy and they get decent offensive line play, I think Oklahoma could have won outright. I really don't think that the point gap in this game being 17 points says anything at all. Punt return touchdown was a big play from Texas. Got the home game. That's really important. Arch didn't turn the ball over. That was really
That's
all
the
the takeaways I
biggest thing
had.
right there.
And it was a lot of checkdowns from him today. I didn't see anything that really wowed me. His one touchdown pass was just like, I would have hit that throw. You would have hit that throw. RPO, sneak a guy over the middle. I mean, blown covers. They had 3 guys let him get behind him in the red zone. It's an easy throw. So Texas did what they needed to do. They pinned their ears back and they won the game. But this was a tough one for Oklahoma. 6 points, 3 interceptions from an unhealthy John Mateer. Offensive line let him get harassed the whole game. It was just bad.
Couldn't run the ball for anything.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme, unfortunately. I picked them to go to the playoffs, but it's looking more and more likely like my prediction for Texas having 3 losses and making the playoffs has a better chance of happening than Oklahoma actually making the playoffs at all. Their schedule's ridiculous. So we'll look to see if Texas can replicate these performances in games that maybe are a little bit harder to do, like against Kentucky when everybody thinks they should go in there and score 35 or 40 points. I don't know that they'll do that. They may only score 25. We'll see. I just think that this Texas team, we just don't know enough about what they can do consistently. If they can consistently build off this, we'll see what they can do in the long run. They've got the talent.
Yeah, I think this game was more about them just taking advantage of what Oklahoma was going through, like not being able to run the ball and the material just being injured and terrible. Like I don't really feel like they did a ton
Yeah.
in
If they
this game.
walk
I mean, their
that game
defense
off,
played good, but they have a good defense.
Yeah, if they walked
But
that game off on a field goal and won, or they lost this game, I would not have Texas ranked, and I would probably think they could lose several more games this season. But because they put their foot down and they won, I feel like they can do that against other teams because Oklahoma's defense is ridiculously good.
oh yeah,
That's the best part of this team by a long shot. So if they find offensive firepower, they can beat anybody. That's a big if right now. Unfortunately for John Mateer's Heisman campaign. Rest in peace. Moving on, Alabama, Missouri. Bama controlled the second half of this game after Missouri got off to a quick start with a touchdown on. I don't even know if you saw this play when Brett Norfleet called that pass on the sideline and Damani Jackson was just like lost in coverage.
yeah. I saw that.
It's like in college football 26 when you try to go make a play on the ball, you know it's a jump ball and your DB should do something about it, and then they just do nothing, and the wide receiver catches it and scores.
And we complain that that's unrealistic. Maybe it's not.
I thought that as soon as I saw that, I was like, that looks like some college football 26 BS. I was like, I always say that stuff's unrealistic, but I'll never forget Damani Jackson. He's a 5-star corner, not making a play that a 5-star is supposed to make. Yeah, I don't know. It's unexplainable. I'd love for somebody to explain that to me, but Bama stopped the run. That was the key to the game. That's what they had to do to win. They did it. I I feel good about Alabama right now. That's a huge win. 3 straight ranked wins beating undefeated SEC teams. That's huge. They look really good. They got the 3 best wins consecutively in college football right now. So there's no telling what they could do. They could definitely disappoint. Their schedule's not easy, but I like Alabama right now.
I perfectly predicted the score to this game at 27-24.
Yeah, I think that deserves a pretty solid shout
Had
out.
that on lock.
And yes, he did pick Alabama. It was not Missouri 27-24. We both picked Alabama. Landon nailed the score. If there was a way I could give extra points for that, maybe we can. Maybe we can make part of that like into our record predictions at the end of the season if we still do a little competition with it. For any game that you get a perfect score on, you should get extra points for it. I think that's really tough to do. So that was really cool. We both nailed that game. You especially double nailed that one. I think Alabama looks really good. Missouri's still a great football team, by the way. Don't forget about Missouri. They absolutely can make a push for the playoffs still. So, like what I saw from them for the most part. Michigan at USC, I missed big on this one. I really thought Michigan was just going to be able to do what they wanted in this game, and USC was really going to struggle offensively. That was not the case. It was the other way around. Completely other way around. Makai Lemon just continues to show me why he might be the best receiver in college football. The dude is tough, man. He is so tough. I think that he should be getting a lot more conversation for the Heisman. I think he's one of the best players in America right now. He makes plays that other people don't make. And Jeremiah Smith gets a lot of praise for being a stud athlete, and he should. He's a beast, but it just doesn't seem to be the same level of like if you look at Makai Lemon and the guys trying to cover him in games, like they can take Jeremiah Smith out of the game sometimes. No one's taking Makai Lemon out of games. Like, and he had 1 touchdown in the corner against Michigan. There were 3 people trying to guard him, and he caught it. I don't see Jeremiah Smith catching balls like that most of the time. Like, he's making plays, yes, but it's most of the time when they get him in space because teams are double covering him. No one stopped Makai Lemon. I think he should get a little more praise than he's getting. But USC proved me wrong for the first time in a while. So I'm gonna try not to sleep on USC moving forward. I really like Jay Mayava. He's looked great. Their offense is probably gonna be shorthanded moving forward with running backs. Had a couple injuries. That kind of changes things for me, but they still have a lot to prove.
I was just really impressed by their defense. I didn't think they had that in them. Even against a team that's as one-dimensional as Michigan, I just didn't think that was something that would happen.
Yeah, Justice Haynes did nothing in this game. I was shocked. I thought this would be one of the games where he would just go off like 200 yards, two or three touchdowns. It felt like that kind of game to me, and that's just not what happened. I think USC did exactly what Michigan wanted to do in this game, and they won the way Michigan wanted to win. So it's looking like all that money they paid Bryce Underwood has not really paid off offensively yet. I'm not dumping on Bryce Underwood being a good player. He could be great. He's a freshman, true freshman at that. But I'm just not seeing anything from him that makes me think he's an elite passer yet. But only time will tell. Same thing with a lot of other players in college football that people might be dunking on already. Just gotta give people time. A lot of players turn it around junior, senior year. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing from USC. Next week's matchup's huge for them against Notre Dame. Next, we got BYU at Arizona. We both picked BYU, I think, handling this game,
I
but
had it being close, actually.
you did.
I was very conflicted. I had Arizona picked initially, and then I changed it right before I recorded.
Yeah, I had BYU by a couple touchdowns. I think it was at least 17
I think you
points.
had it 42-23, if I remember right.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like Arizona had the defense to compete in this game. Like I knew their offense can do things. Like I love Noah Fafita. I think he can do anything. You put him on any field with any team, he's gonna find a way to make some plays because he's a baller. But yeah, this game was salty. It's a rivalry game, so I wanted to give some points to Arizona for that, but I just felt like BYU was gonna win. They did, but it was really close. Arizona led in this game and had some salty touchdowns to keep in it. BYU needed to go into double overtime to win this one. So says a lot about BYU. Their complementary football style, I felt like kind of got stifled in this game, and Arizona took advantage of that with some big plays. BYU didn't get a lot of turnovers, so they weren't able to do what they've been doing against some of these more mediocre teams they played. Their schedule's been really favorable. I think they're going to lose soon. It's
They're
only
going
a
to lose
matter of
to
time.
Utah this week. I think we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I think we both feel the same way about that game. But BYU sneaks away with a win. Arizona's still a decent football team, so they could be a giant killer in the Big 12. People aren't careful with them. Next game, Arizona State, Utah. I had this as my call the dogs pick, and of course, in typical call the dogs fashion, this was a complete bomb.
The
Just
Jeff Sims game.
not good. So I think Landon told me earlier, he's like, I'm going to give you a freebie on this one because we picked it before Jeff Sims was announced as the starting quarterback. And for those of you who have been watching football for long enough, you remember the name Jeff Sims. You know what abomination to passing offense Jeff Sims is when he gets behind the line of scrimmage at quarterback. He's a running guy. He's not really a game manager. He's just there to try to extend plays and every now and then find an explosive. He's not consistent. He's not safe with the football. He's just not the kind of guy you need leading your team in a tough road environment. Unfortunately for Arizona State, I thought that Sam Levitt was going to be playing. Had no idea he was dealing with an injury until I'd already picked this game on the podcast, and we were not about to go back and edit that. So stuck with it. It was a blowout. Utah ended up handling this game despite losing the time of possession in this game. They won by several touchdowns. Me and Landon were so confused by that because we didn't really get to watch the whole game. I turned it off after the first quarter. It was late. I was in Georgia. It was like 11 o'clock at that point, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not watching the rest of this because I knew where it was going. But I think Arizona State can still win some big games. Unfortunately for them, I don't see Big 12 championship in the horizon for them.
I'm a Texas Tech on deck this week. But
It looks
yeah,
like Texas Tech has that controlled in their destiny right now, and I think that they're pretty much already arriving there mentally. So as long as they don't overlook some of these games they got coming up, I feel good about them. But Utah's right behind them. I could see a possible rematch for Texas Tech and Utah in the Big 12 championship. But sad to see Arizona State fall down like that
just
again.
can't believe Jeff Sims is still in college.
I don't know how that's possible. He's
He
been
was
playing since
Jameer Gibbs'
2020.
quarterback at Georgia Tech.
That's crazy. That's insane. I think he played against did he play against Trevor Lawrence at one point?
Probably.
I think he did. It's crazy. But yeah, he I think he's gonna be done after this year, safe to say.
He was the Nathan Peterman of Robbie Ashford's.
Dude, couldn't have said it better. That nails it. Love that. All right, let's move on. We're only like halfway through. This is crazy.
Oh
We got
man,
so many recaps. Iowa State, Colorado. Upset for Colorado here. Did we both pick Colorado in this game?
I don't think we picked this game.
We may not have.
We left it off.
I feel like there was some upset potential here. Caden Salter came in clutch. Big third down conversion on third and 17 to put the game away. Iowa State got exposed again defensively. I feel like Colorado kind of had their way
I've
so
been
far in
saying
this
for
game.
weeks that Iowa State was overrated, and that's become very apparent now.
We were on that with the Cincinnati game, and it's just continuing to prove us right here. I mean, offensively, they just didn't do enough in
Just
this
don't have
game.
those difference makers at receiver anymore.
No,
That's what's hurting.
that's turning out to hurt them the most here, I think, because they didn't have. I don't, did Carson Hansen play in this game? I thought they were saying something about he might have missed it. Maybe that I might have read that wrong, but I think he ended up possibly playing in this game. But they just didn't really do enough offensively for me to think that they can win 9 or 10 games this year. I think Matt Kimball might be looking for an exit after this. I
He's gonna
think he's
have
done what he can
opportunities
do.
for sure.
We'll see. Coaching carousel is crazy right now, but good win for Colorado to get back on track. They needed this one. Pitt at FSU. Biggest takeaway: FSU's defense just really isn't all that. I think after the Bama game, I thought they were going to be just the surprise team of the year.
I don't know what that game was.
I think it all had to do like it was like the Washington State Ole Miss game.
I,
Not that Florida State's that bad. I think they're still a good football team, but unless Florida State has a game plan go exactly their way, they're just not going to beat certain teams. Like the Alabama game, yeah, I think that Alabama was not prepared for what Florida State could be able to do. There was no film on what they were like. That's tough. When you don't know what a certain quarterback can do in a system with a new offensive coordinator, you're kind of going in blind. You've got a lot of new players on defense for Alabama. I mean, they just hadn't really gelled as a unit. They looked out of sorts. I mean, that's what a really good offensive game plan can do to you. We saw that with Washington State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss did win the game, but they absolutely could have lost if Washington State was a more talented team with the same game plan. So I still will give credit to Gus Malzahn for that Week 1 matchup against Alabama. He won them the game. He and Tommy Castellanos won them the game. The run game is what beat Alabama. But they showed this week beating Missouri that they can stop the run now with a similar game plan that Missouri had. So, with that being said, there's an interesting stat floating around a lot of people are hitting on that when Tommy Castellanos has to throw the ball, they lose. Like when
What
he's,
is it like over 20 pass attempts? They're like,
I think it's over 250 yards and a couple touchdowns, they lose. Like,
oh, we throws for, yeah, it was like 250 or 200 yards.
and
And they're like
he
really
had his
bad
best
record.
game of the season in this game. He played incredible. He made some insane throws. So like I saw more things from him in this game than I thought I would see from him all season, and they lost to Pittsburgh and their backup quarterback, who looks like he could be pretty good. So Pittsburgh, sleeper team in the ACC right now. See what they can do, but unfortunately for FSU, I think this is the last relevancy they'll have for the rest of the
Norvell
season.
is done. He's done.
His buyout's ridiculous, man. It's so
Penn State
ridiculous.
didn't care.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that soon. These buyouts are insane. These coach firings are ridiculous. I hate to see it. I really do. But these athletic departments have way more money than they should possibly have, and these coaches are getting paid way much more money than they probably should be getting paid at all. So that's just college football for you. We're the fans. We pay for the games. We consume the content, so we're paying for it to happen, which is just part of the economy of it all. But really interesting stuff. FSU in the pits right now. I think they're still talented, but not at all what we hyped them up to be early. I'm glad I didn't put them way too high. Might have had them at 7 at one point. Not going to talk about it, but glad I didn't have them going to the playoffs like anybody else. Moving on, UCLA wins another big game at Michigan State. Nico and Neuheisel just are cooking on offense. I love to see it. This kind of story is what makes me love college football. First time play caller, used to be the quarterback for the school, his alma mater, comes back to back upset wins, flawless offensive performances. Quarterback that everybody's hating on says has nothing left in the tank, made a bad decision to go to UCLA, isn't really all he was hyped up to be being a 5 star, starts playing incredible football again. So he, after proving me wrong early, is proving me wrong again because I became a doubter after the first 4 games. Now he's proving me wrong again and says, wait, I'm back. I'm still a good football player. It was actually the coaching system, and they failed me in this. The talent around me is stepping back up to the plate, and they're making me look just as good as I can be. So props to Nico and Maliava for playing some really insane football when his team needed him the most after firing their head coach and offensive coordinator. So big win for them, blowing out Michigan State. They look awesome.
I was so surprised they went and did this. I kind of thought this would be like, I kind of thought the Penn State game would be like a one off, but clearly not.
Yeah, other
They
teams need to watch
definitely
out for them.
got something cooking down there.
Yeah, and I don't even think that the talent offensively is there, but they're just catching everybody off guard, and they're just good enough offensively that their defense doesn't even have to be that great to win some of these games in the Big Ten.
And Michigan State's offense is so bad though. Jonathan Smith, that's another coach to cook too.
Yeah,
Like he's gonna be canned after this year for sure.
he hasn't done anything
They've
impressive
only gotten worse.
after the Mel Tucker scandal. I mean,
Oh,
everything's gone downhill with them.
they're gonna
Like,
be down so much money because they lost a ton of money for R&M. That was
crazy.
about the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah,
Them giving him that much money.
all that was
They're
crazy.
being carried by Kenneth Walker.
It's sad that Michigan State's fallen out of relevancy since I guess before Kenneth Walker and their last good season, but I don't know when we'll see them come back up to the top of college football. I
The
remember
coach
the
they
days.
had D'Antonio. That's his name,
I
right?
remember when Mark D'Antonio was the coach, and
Yeah.
them playing Ohio State was one of the biggest games of the season every year. Now, I don't even know when they play Ohio State because it doesn't matter because Ohio State's going to win. But with college football, you just never know. So that never say never. The next game we've got Northwestern at Penn State. James Franklin is out. Drew Aller is also out. I think that's the last time we'll see him in a Penn State uniform. As much as I've been a Penn State hater, this saddens me a lot. I like James Franklin. I know he didn't do the greatest coaching job at Penn State, and it's not up to the standard of the program, but they literally were one play away from making the national championship game last year, and now he doesn't have a job. But the best part about this is he's got the best job in the world now. Actually, he's currently unemployed and getting paid millions of dollars to sit on his
To
couch.
watch those checks roll in and do nothing.
Yeah, sure, he'll pick up another coaching job or he'll be on TV somewhere very soon, which he should be. He's a great offensive and defensive mind, and he has a lot to share with college football. So hopefully he'll take a TV analyst job or something like that. I'd love to see more of him and let him talk about his college football experience because he's got a lot to offer. I think he'll find his way back into coaching soon, though. But sad to see Drew Aller's career end the way it did at Penn State. I mean, I don't know what's next for him. So we'll have to talk about that at some other time. But sad to see what happened for both of those guys. They were 3 weeks ago had national championship aspirations once again, and now one of them is no longer playing football for Penn State because he's injured, and the other one is no longer the head coach at Penn State, which is insane to say. But college football is brutal, man. Nobody likes to say it, but this is one of the most brutal sports in the entire country. I mean, you don't go from as high of highs as they were at to as low of lows as they are in 3 weeks in any other sport. College football's expectations are crazy sometimes. So sad to see him go. All credit to Northwestern for this game. They did catch Penn State at a bad time. So you got to understand that. But winning at Penn State's never easy. Big win for Northwestern, probably one of their biggest in a while. I didn't get to really watch most of this game, but I'm kind of glad I did.
Do you think he lost the locker room?
I think that's probably part of it. I think just the stigma that you can't win the big game. You can't keep team buying high when you don't win big games. Like when Trace McSorley was there, just gosh, I love Trace McSorley. Just a moment of silence for how good that Penn State football team was because Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley fed families. That team knew they could win big games. They didn't win a lot. But they knew they had the ability to. That team could walk out on a football field and say, "We're going to score touchdowns. We're going to drop dimes. We're going to have big run plays." And they did that. This team never felt like that at any point. But they found themselves winning games when it mattered, and then when the big games rolled around, they couldn't complete those big games to get them where they needed to be. So sad to see James Franklin go and Drew Aller get hurt. I hate that. Anytime you see a coach get fired like that, and you see a player get hurt. I mean, you know that sucks for both those guys. That program. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that program that it's their senior year, and I hate to see that end the way it did. So, moving on, Nebraska at Maryland. This was a close one. Nebraska escapes with a 3-point win at Maryland. I felt like, despite the fact that Raiola had 3 interceptions in this game, I thought he played his best game of the season. They threw the ball to win. I didn't think they could do that, and that's what they did. And Maryland's turnovers, yes, that kind of kept them in the game a little bit, but Nebraska was a better team and they ended up winning anyway.
I didn't nail this one from my predictions last week as far as how the game would go. I said Maryland loses another heartbreaker, and this was definitely a heartbreaker for them. They had the ball last and couldn't do anything with it. I think they turned it over on downs or something, but just sad for them with how the way they started the year and the opportunity they had.
Yeah, I had Nebraska winning. I'm pretty sure I had it as more of a defensive game. Just kind of felt like the Cincinnati game to me. Like one team had a chance to win. It was probably a little bit of an underdog. The other team probably a little overhyped. Just hadn't really been able to click on offense yet. But I thought Nebraska's defense was going to be better in this game. And they weren't. They ended up winning regardless, though. Dylan Raiola played pretty solid to me. Made some bad decisions, but made up for it with some really good ones. This game shocked me. TCU at Kansas State. KSU is starting to get hot. I can't believe I'm saying that because they've looked so bad up to this point. TCU disappointing defensively for me, and with the offensive line was kind of what did me in. I thought this team was better. I really like Josh Hoover still. Eric McAllister's a stud, but their run game is just not good enough to hang on and close out games. Not that they ever were in a position to do that in this game, but when they get into games that are close, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. They just couldn't protect Josh Hoover against a very average Kansas State defense that, let's just remind everybody, they lost to Army. They lost to
Army, I think
Army.
that's Army's only win this year too.
Yeah, Army has lost to an FCS school. They have lost to non-power four schools. Their only win is against Kansas
No,
State
they beat
and one other
Charlotte.
team.
They beat Charlotte,
I
which
don't even
is
know if we can count
huge
that.
win against Charlotte. Great program there.
But yeah,
Unfortunately.
Kansas State has somehow found a way to be competitive the past 2 weeks against two really solid teams in TCU and Baylor. Should have beat Baylor. Did not come away with a win. emphatically beating TCU at home. I guess we're just gonna have to see what they can do now. Obviously they don't have anything to play for really other than their pride, but Kansas State's got a lot of culture and they could turn it around. There's a very real possibility they could turn it around and do something interesting with the season as far as like maybe playing for a decent bowl game, maybe not getting their coach fired. We'll see. Start of the season was horrendous, but they're turning it around a little bit. TCU, I really hope they can pick up the slack after this. They're already 2 losses into the season, and they're gonna have some more tough games coming up.
I think Kansas State was just due. Really, they've lost a handful of close games. They just went home, and then just Big 12 carnage too.
Yeah,
Games like this are going to happen in the Big 12. That's just the way it's going to be.
yeah, the Big 12's got its own kind of carnage, just like the SEC. It's just a little bit different. The SEC is a lot of really good teams tearing each other up. I feel like the Big 12 right now is a lot of really average teams
But the
tearing
Big
each other
12
up.
is just anybody can be anybody.
Well, I kind of
Besides Texas Tech, really. I don't think Texas Tech can be touched by the teams at the bottom of the Big 12, but anybody else could beat anybody else on any given Saturday, in my opinion.
I think that's a fair take. There's not too much of a difference as far as that take with SEC and Big 12, but I feel like the talent disparity is a lot different. The whole middle of the SEC is ranked. There's only like 2 ranked teams in the Big 12 at all. So there's a little bit of disparity between the conferences, but the feel's the same. So one of my more underrated games of the week, Air Force at UNLV. My playoff hopeful UNLV pulls off a stunner close win in a shootout against Air Force. They needed this one. Anthony Calandria played really well. Defensively, neither team did anything in this game at all. It was just points raining from the sky in this game. Air Force is a decent team. They're not great, and they were able to score a lot of points on UNLV.
They're 1-5.
So I'm not really too excited about UNLV moving forward, but I have a little bit more to say about them in my Call It the Dogs segment. So we'll get to that when we do. But UNLV escapes with a close win here. You have anything else to say about this one?
It feels like all their games have been the same. Just shootouts where their defense is horrific, but their offense is so electric. It doesn't matter. And this felt similar to the Idaho State game and the Miami Ohio game. Same game over and over. But I think once they play a good team, it's gonna end. Unfortunately,
Yeah, they're fun to watch.
they are really
So
fun to watch, though.
that's always the
Can't
upside.
take that from them.
That's true. We'll see what happens with them moving forward. The last game, there's not much to say about this game because I just think it's sad that people paid to go watch this football game.
They
I'm gonna go ahead
deserve
and say it.
financial compensation for having to watch this
Refunds should be issued for
thing.
this. Iowa at Wisconsin, 37-0. Iowa won this football game. It was disgusting. It was awful. Anytime Iowa puts up 37 points, my eyes get real big and I'm like, whoa, what happened in this football game? Because the other team clearly was not there to play. And then I see the goose egg on Wisconsin's side, and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. Luke Fickle needs to go ahead and probably get on out of there.
I'm surprised he's not unemployed right now, to be honest, after that one.
Yeah, I don't know how you hold on after that. I truly don't. I think he's on his way out pretty soon. I think that a group of 5 team is going to come calling and give him another chance. I still think he's a decent coach. Wisconsin's a tough place, man. It's just a tough place to build a culture different than what they are based around. You've got to recruit for a strong offensive line, a solid run game, and studs on defense. That's just what they've always done. And they still don't ever really have any national relevancy. They're just good enough. So I don't know when we'll ever see Wisconsin or teams like Michigan State come back to relevancy. It's not going to be soon, though. So unfortunately, even Iowa's not really that great right now, and they dominated this Wisconsin team. So really bad game. I'm not even going to analyze this any further because it was just bad. Offensively, defensively, Wisconsin did nothing good in this game. So that is our week 7 recap.